Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. Before I begin today, a huge thank you to Gabriel for the virtual gift voucher. Huge thank you my friend for the support, it is truly appreciated, thank you. But on to today. Today we discuss why the Primarch Perturabo was seeking the Temple of Ascension. General spoiler warning to begin, as we will be discussing events from across the world of Warhammer 40k, so you have been warned. But with that said, let's just jump straight in. The Lord of Iron himself, Perturabo, continuing our discussion on the Iron Warriors as a reward for their victory in our traitor war last week. And as we have discussed before, Perturabo has been largely out of the picture since his ascension to demonhood, spending most of his near 10,000 year absence analysing and planning his assault on Segmentum Obscurus, before finally unleashing his plan as Abaddon's 13th Black Crusade ravaged the Cadian Gate, and the following Great Rift tore the galaxy asunder. And it's here to me that Perturabo made the act so out of character for his nature, with most of Segmentum Obscurus plunged into darkness and at the mercy of the ruinous powers, rather than truly press this advantage, possibly even carving out a small empire of his own. Perturabo instead appears on the world of Dissactis, hunting for the Temple of Ascension, which led to the War of Rust and Ruin against his brother Mortarion. And when I say this is very out of character for Perturabo, I think most people would agree. The Primarch of Cold Logic has never been one to do anything without thorough and complete planning, bordering on the obsession. So for him to not press on with his assault on Segmentum Obscurus, when the Segmentum itself is virtually on its knees, is undoubtedly a very out of character move. And it also means that whatever he sought within the Temple of Ascension must have been of incredible value or importance to the Lord of Iron. So in putting on our theory hats, just what could have been the reason? Well, to begin, with a name such as the Temple of Ascension, it certainly implies something to do with demonhood. Or at least it's not too much of a stretch to make the connection. And knowing Perturabo's previous disdain for all things warp and demon, could perhaps he be seeking a way to undo his raising to demonhood? As crazy as it sounds on first mention, the more you think about it, the more you can see a strong logic behind it. Firstly, as I said, Perturabo was always one who despised everything to do with the warp. Even as his brothers fell all around him during the heresy, becoming slaves to unknown masters, Perturabo was disgusted by what his brothers were becoming. And really, to me, it's just never felt completely right for him to then happily become one of them after the heresy. But if we take the idea of it to happen against his will, now that makes a lot more sense. Maybe, as we saw with Angron, Perturabo's raising to demonhood could happen largely against his consent. Hearing of a Temple of Ascension may be exactly the kind of place Perturabo would seek in trying to find a way to rid himself of this curse. Don't get me wrong here, I'm not speculating Perturabo is seeking redemption, only a way to try and rid himself of his demonic curse. We know the Iron Warriors Legion as a whole still largely replaces their mutations with mechanics. So why would their Primarch have become any different? This would also go to explain why Perturabo was willing to go to full-scale war against his brother Mortarion and the Death Guard for possession of a simple temple. He would do anything to rid himself of his demonhood. Now again, as always, these theories are not likely, and they're just a bit of fun speculation. But this is definitely a storyline I would enjoy following throughout the Scouring series. I mean, because if it isn't a reluctant ascension, we need to see a big change in Perturabo's character in really a short amount of time. Do you really see Perturabo as we see him currently, accepting ascension to demonhood through sacrificing Geneseed? Because as it stands, that is something that definitely is changing in my current opinion. This is by far my preferred theory out there, and one I actually quite like. Perturabo's ascension will be not of his choosing. But let's continue and go a little more out there with the next one. The Lord of Iron was undoubtedly a very misunderstood Primarch, and the truth of his character was beneath all his exterior. A very loving son and brother, just yearning to be accepted. And his friendship with his brother Magnus was the perfect example. Even in the midst of this siege of terror, Perturabo spares a moment only for Magnus. This is very much a brotherly love. And if perhaps somehow Perturabo has not ascended, as all the long years of lore and rumours have told us, if maybe somehow in contradiction to that he escapes his fate, if there was one brother he would give everything to try and bring back from the slavery of the dark gods, it would be Magnus. How poignant would it be for Perturabo to forsake a plan millennia in the making, upon the cusp of perhaps his greatest triumph, to instead go to try and claim the Temple of Ascension, to try and bring back the brother he once knew, to reclaim his soul from the clutches of Tzeentch, and save Magnus. Now again, it's undoubtedly something we'll most likely never see, but I've got to say this would be a real humanizing storyline for the fallen Primarchs. I don't know how anyone couldn't become endeared to Perturabo if this was the case. Of course it would all be ultimately flawed, due to what Magnus deems as the best shard of himself having been destroyed upon Terra. But hey, Perturabo, as far as I'm aware, doesn't know that. And even if he did, I'm not sure it would make him feel any difference anyway. The love of his brother has simply always been there. Now, what other reasons may Perturabo have in seeking the temple? Well, of course there are countless, and make sure to drop your reasons in the comments below. More simple explanations could be just to simply elevate his power further. And yes, admittedly, that is most likely the case. It's most likely the reason Mortarion himself was there. But for me, that just doesn't suit Perturabo. I just don't see him seeking out an artifact of some kind of spiritual power. He has always been one to master it himself. And let's not make the mistake of thinking the name Temple of Ascension was just a random name drop. GW drops these hints very specifically, to encourage us to wonder and speculate. They are absolutely masters of it. For storylines to play out, only for us to have seen hints of those to come, years in the making. So really there's no reason not to indulge in these kind of fun theories. For me, really, the biggest reason to go more speculative with these theories is because Perturabo's ascension feels like it's just out of place. That it was done just because, oh, he has to be a demon Primarch. Now, Undivided works for Lorgar because he worships the Pantheon, but Perturabo hates them. I've no doubt the Scouring series will try to fix this, making his fall even more tragic than it already is. But as I've said before, for me, I think the character of Perturabo makes so much more sense to not be ascended to Demon Prince. And with us not truly having seen him in any way, shape or form since then, there is still very much room for the story to take a different turn. So as always guys, what do you think? Why do you think Perturabo may be seeking the Temple of Ascension? And is he doing so as truly a demon Primarch? Or is he doing so as a traitor Primarch trying to save a brother? As always, leave your thoughts in the comments below, I love to read them. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. And if you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.